How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, giving you guys your monthly forecast for November 2018 for Aries. How is it going, guys? Well, this month is definitely going to start up, I don't want to say abruptly, but a lot of shifts, a lot of big things happening, because one of the first transits that's going to be happening this November, on November 6th, we're having Uranus retrograde back into Aries, into your guys' first house, or it's going to be over where your sun is, or especially if you're a later degree Aries. That's a pretty big deal, because as Uranus has been in Aries for like 7 years, so you guys have had that shakeup. You've had that, liberation. Like, I like to use, even though it's kind of woo-woo, I like to really use Uranus is like super consciousness. Uranus is this liberator, this bringer of, basically Zeus's energy to free the people that are enslaved by it. And long story short, Uranus has been there for a couple years, over your guys' sun sign or over your guys' first house for a long time. So you've had this happen for a while. As Uranus went to Taurus earlier this year in May, that slowed down a lot, and it went into your second house. Things got crazy or I should say the theme of Uranus in your second house is things are going to be getting crazy with your finances, with, what you personally own, basically what you have for yourself. Nothing super crazy, because it is just Uranus. It's not a super personable planet, but he will be retrograding back into Aries this month on November 6th, and he's going to be there until next March. So we still get a little bit of a taste of Uranus in your guys' first house, so you're going to be feeling a little bit more charged up, a little bit more amped up, a little bit more ecstatic, a little bit more of yourself, a little bit more able to kind of push forward like what you've been kind of feeling for the past couple years. So that is really good news. Then on the same day, on November 6th, we have the North Node, or I should say retrogressing into Cancer. And this is a big deal, because this is going to hit your guys' fourth house. The North Node, which is basically the nodes of the moon, are basically where the eclipses are going to be at. It's kind of like where the sun and the moon and the earth all line up. And the North Node slowly moves, because it's just this mathematical point. However, it's going to be entering Cancer, where it's going to be entering your fourth house. The North Node has a lot to do with what we want to consume, where we're always chasing, where we're always going. It has a lot to do, yes, I do have a lot of belief of the North Node has a lot to do with our destiny, but that's simply because that is the direction that we naturally head in. That is the direction that we want to go in. The North Node is kind of like what's calling us out, and it's kind of like, where's the first direction that we go? We want to go with the North Node. That's just kind of our impulsive behavior with the North Node. And as the North Node enters Cancer and the South Node enters Capricorn, we're talking about your 4th and your 10th house axis. Now we're talking about the 4th house being your family life, your parents, a lot of it has to do with family, but a lot of the 4th house has to do with your home, where you're living. It has a lot to do with where you center yourself. And as the North Node starts to enter this 4th house area, you're going to start to feel more called out to be more focused on what maternal needs that you need to take care of at home. Where do you need to be centered in your emotions? Because we are talking about Cancer right here. We're talking about what needs to be nurtured. Where do you need to be? Where do you need to trust? Where do you need to protect? And as the North Node enters Cancer and it goes into your 4th house, you're going to be very much wanting to protect and nurture and be more, active with pursuing things that are related to the 4th house, like really getting yourself centered in that Cancer energy of, having trust, of being open with things, not being so angry, being more forgiving. And as the South Node enters Capricorn at the same time, where it's going to be in your 10th house, you're going to be slowly pulling away from, I don't want to say your whole career as a big deal, but as the South Node's in Capricorn, it's not the biggest time to really look at your career. I don't want to say go towards it or anything like that. You're just going to find yourself knowing how to apply yourself a little bit better, because the South Node is the dragon's tail. It's where we've came from. It's where we've been. It is a part of releasing. It is a part of looking back. And as the South Node is going through your 10th house, going into Cancer, in order to pursue more connection, more trust, more nurturing from your home place and being centered in that, even with your family and stuff, where do you need to learn where you've come from in terms of your career, with terms of establishing something, that whole 10th house role. So as this node shift changes, you're going to see a slowly but surely big change in where you kind of want to start more applying yourself in. The next big thing is there's going to be the new moon in Scorpio. That's going to be in your 8th house. And so this is going to be a really big time of change, a really big time of opening the energy and letting yourself be open to change, as the 8th house has a lot to do with, sex, death, transformation, rebirth, a lot of those very purging type words, I guess I'd like to say. This new moon's going to give you that ability to really step into a new role and allow yourself to have that change that you're looking for. Moving forward, there's a lot happening between November 6th and November 9th. So that was November 6th, November 7th, then November 8th. We have Jupiter entering Sagittarius, where it's going to enter your whole sign 9th house. And this is really, really exciting. Because if you watch my Jupiter in Sagittarius video, you know that Jupiter is all about good fortune, belief. He wants to expand things. He wants to bring presence. He's really happy. He's in his home sign of Sagittarius, and he's in the 9th house. The 9th house has a lot to do with your beliefs. The 9th house has a lot to do with, far distance travel, religion. It has a lot to do with philosophy. It has a lot to do with, foreign languages, learning, higher education. And so as Jupiter enters your whole sign 9th house, these type of things are going to be very prevalent. You're going to find a lot of abundance in this area. Whether it's, you want to learn a new language, or you want to go back to school, or maybe you are just having a deeper sense of philosophy being applied to your life. Jupiter entering your 9th house in Sagittarius is you're going to start to feel a lot more capable. I don't want to even say believing in yourself, because yeah, that's true, but it has so much more to do with beliefs in general. What do you believe? Where do you want to go? What do you want to happen, basically? Then on November 9th, we have Mars trining Venus. Mars trining Venus is a pretty big deal, because this Mars-Venus relationship we've had over the past couple months has been a little bit intense. And as Mars is at the last degrees of Aquarius and Venus is in the last degrees of Libra, they're going to be making a nice trine, and this is going to be happening in your 11th and your 7th house. So getting the connections, getting where you need to go, knowing all the right people to basically create more harmonious bonds and relationships in your life. As Venus has been she retrograded back into your 7th house. I think she will do that later on this month. She'll do that on November 16th. But as she retrogrades back into your 7th house, where you're learning to apply more value with the relationships in your life and really look at, what is it really going to take, Mars is going to be there for you to kind of support that role in that. Next up, we have on November 14th, we have Mercury squaring Neptune as he stations retrograde. And this is when things are going to start to get really confusing, in the sense that Neptune's been in your 12th house, of suppression, not acknowledged or unaware parts of yourself, and just the 12th house is just a weird place. With Neptune right there, kind of making this a very, bringing a lot of fantasy into this, bringing a lot of illusion and duality into this. As Mercury goes to your 9th house in Sagittarius, he's going to square Neptune, and this is where things are going to become intense regarding what you believe and what is what are the problems with that? What are you suppressing? What are you not acknowledging, or what do you need to become more aware of? So this Mercury retrograde, which I will be doing a video about it later on, is going to be really opening for you guys regarding your terms of what you believe and what you're not seeing and what you need to see in order to have a more positive role applying to your beliefs. On November 16th, we have Venus going direct in your 7th house. This is amazing for relationships. This is going to be really, really good for what you guys have learned for this Venus retrograde. Where are you putting value in, and where are you receiving value? And as Venus is in Libra and she starts to go direct, this is really applying that value, and this is really reaping the rewards and the benefits from doing that stuff. So this is really good with relationships, especially on one-on-one, especially in intimate relationships. So this is really good news. Then we have Mars going into Pisces on the same exact day. And so as Mars goes into Pisces, he's been in Aquarius forever. And you guys are very Mars-ruled people. So as Mars goes, into Pisces from Aquarius, where he's been for a long time, Mars is a warrior. Mars is action-oriented. He wants to do. And Mars in Pisces is like someone slipped him a Mickey, and he's like trying to fight a battle, but he's like, high on LSD, so he's just questioning everything. Mars in Pisces can become very confused at where to take action. Pisces kind of forces him to look within, like who is the warrior within, and makes it a shamanic experience. So while Mars goes into Pisces, you're going to find yourself not necessarily so much struggling with your ability to take action, but you will start to see, because this is going to be in your 12th house of, enemies, of hidden things, of repressed parts of yourself. And this Mars Pisces stuff is going to be really big as Mercury retrogrades and Jupiter is doing his stuff. It's just going to be a big, helpful role of cutting away from things that you repress, severing beliefs or confusion or duality that's not serving you anymore. And this is going to be a big wake-up call as Mars goes through there. So I don't want to say expect a reality check, but definitely expect for things to get a little bit deeper and start to apply a little bit more meaning with where your actions are going. Then on November 17th, the next day, November's really packed, guys. I'm not even going to lie. Mercury goes retrograde, like what we were just talking about. He's going to be stationing at 13 degrees. It's going to be squaring Neptune. And this is when you're going to start really questioning, okay, and it's not going to be a bad thing. I really want to emphasize that. Mercury will be in detriment in Sagittarius, yeah, but this isn't going to be a bad thing for you guys. He's in your 9th house. He's going to be over Jupiter. This is just a really big time to look at, what are you not seeing in terms of your capability of belief? Where do you need to pour more positive energy in that? It's kind of like, what are you not seeing and where are you going too fast to not see things? Slow it down a little bit and really, take a good internal look at things of where you want things to go, where do you want to believe, and that kind of good stuff. Then on November 19th, we have Mars squaring Jupiter, and then this is where it's going to be kind of like, okay, I really see, with Jupiter being in Sagittarius, the whole 9th house theme is going to be very positive. Mars is just going to be causing a little bit of an issue with things not looking clear, things being a little bit foggy, not understanding where to take direction. So when it comes to, if you want to do travel, it's going to be like you're going to feel very overwhelmed with all the possibilities you have. But as far as making a decision on where to really go is where you're going to need some time to really evaluate that stuff. Then on November 22nd, we have the Sun entering Sagittarius, where it's going to be trining your Sun, it's going to be trining your 1st house, really, really positive stuff. And the Sun being the light, the kind of, integral focus of the solar system, being in Sagittarius, where themes of, adventure, passion, questioning, change, philosophy, really just fun, and especially knowledge. Higher education's a good thing. As the Sun enters Sagittarius, this light is going to be brought into your 9th house, where all of this 9th house stuff, where Mercury's retrograde and Jupiter's at, this is going to be all looked at really big. This is where the center of the light's going to be, so expect that theme to kind of play a bigger role later on in November. Then we have the full moon in Gemini exactly on the same day as the Sun enters Sagittarius. And the full moon in Gemini is going to be lighting your 3rd house. It's going to be like, okay, you have all these beliefs, you have all these options, where do you want to go? The full moon in Gemini being in your 3rd house is like, well, look at all that you have capable of you. The moon in Gemini is a big talker, has a lot to, think about, has a lot of mental stimulation going on. The 3rd house has to do about writing, talking, speaking, stuff like that. But the 3rd house is also, it's kind of like, I'm sure you've seen on my other videos, the 1st house is your sense of self, the 2nd house is what you have, and the 3rd house is how you use it. And so with this full moon in Gemini, it's going to be a big realization of like, okay, if you have all these goals, if there's a certain place you want to get to, how do you need to, or what do you need to use? What kind of tools do you need to go into? And you're going to have quite a big tool bag to dive into. You're going to have, I don't want to say all the right tools for it, but you're definitely going to be able to make it work. You just have to emotionally realize that you have the capability for it without getting yourself overwhelmed with all of the possibilities. Moving forward, November 25th, we have the Sun conjunct Jupiter at 3 degrees, so that's going to be more, like, I don't want to say a restart, but it's going to be starting up that new synodic cycle with Jupiter, and this is going to be in your 9th house. So themes about, learning something new, going somewhere new, exploring, bringing people together, really utilizing the connections that you have. A lot of this stuff is going to be brought into play, and it's just going to be a really good day for those type of themes, whatever, to be brought into life. Neptune goes direct on the same day. Not a big deal, just wanted to say that. Then on November 26th, the Sun will continue to conjunct Jupiter at 4 degrees. And then on November 27th, so the 25th to the 27th is a lot of Sun, Jupiter, Mercury stuff. On the 27th, the Sun will conjunct Mercury. Mercury will go Cazimi. And then we have Mercury conjuncting Jupiter right after that. So this is going to be a really big, downpour of, energy and information of kind of like, all right, in terms of where you're going, where do you really want to go? Rethinking things, reanalyzing things, retracing your steps, seeing where you've came from in order to keep moving forward, basically. That's going to be a really big deal, and I think that's going to open up a lot more of ideas, a lot more of excitement, and again, adventure with where you want to go. It's just really about looking at yourself in that perspective and being willing to go, okay, I have options. Where do I want to go? How do I want to do this? How do I want to take this? And then we have, on November 30th, the Venus opposition to Uranus at 29 Aries and 29 Libra. So, you guys have been feeling this for a while. With Uranus in your first house, where you guys are just volatile people, just ready to do anything, kind of up and down. With Venus being at 29 Libra in your 7th house, where do you need to calm down that energy? And I shouldn't say calm that energy down. Where do you need to concentrate that Uranus energy in terms of relating to people? As Venus is in a Libra in your 7th house direct at 29 degrees, she really wants to apply that value. She wants to bring the emphasis of goodness to relationships in your life. With Uranus being in Aries, it's kind of like, don't let yourself get super, don't let yourself get super crazy, but really take a second to go, where can I channel this Uranus energy of, getting things right? Uranus is kind of like bing, bam, boom, in the moment, suddenly everything happens. So with Uranus being in your first house, where can you suddenly be the person you need to be, and or kind of like being at the right place at the right time, and the right person just comes up to you and says the right thing. That's kind of it. So with that being said, that is your November. It is looking very positive. It is very looking 9th house for you guys. Jupiter is going to be trining everything in your chart. This is going to be really good stuff. My biggest advice is to just really be open, and open with the ideas, open with the possibilities, and the whole world is yours. So that's what I got for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, and I'll be seeing you for next month's horoscope.